My name is Eli, and I've lived long enough to know that life has a strange way of turning everything upside down when you least expect it. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what happened that October morning. It was supposed to be an ordinary day. I woke up, drank my coffee while watching the orange sky, and sat on the porch with my cane and an old book of memories, until I heard the sound of the mailman. Inside the mailbox, there was only one white envelope. No return address, no stamp. I opened it carefully, and as I read what was inside, my hands began to tremble. It was my granddaughter Laura's handwriting. But there was one problem. She had been missing for over 3 years. In the letter, she wrote only, "Grandpa, if you're reading this, it means it's time for you to know the truth. I never ran away. I was taken. And I need you to trust me one more time. I love you. Laura." My heart raced. I felt a weight in my chest as if time had rewound itself. The authorities had closed the case. A rebellious teen who ran away from home, they said. But I knew. I always knew she'd never do that. And now, this letter. How? Why? Who brought it? I took a deep breath and held that sheet of paper as if it were made of glass. It was my granddaughter, alive, asking for help. And I knew whatever came next would change everything. I held that letter as if it were flesh and bone, as if hugging it would be the same as hugging my granddaughter again. I smelled the paper, and I swear to God, it smelled like lavender, the same perfume she used as a child. Laura was always different. She wasn't one of those girls glued to her phone or shouting for attention. She was observant, quiet. She had an old soul, like she carried the secrets of time inside her. In the letter, besides the short message, there was a number scribbled in the bottom corner, 4217. That stuck in my head all day. I went into the room where she used to sleep when she visited. Everything was still the same. I never had the heart to change it. I started searching. Open drawers, boxes, the back of the closet. And then I found an old diary with a tiny lock. The key? It was taped behind a photo of me and her, taken when she was just 8 years old. That gave me chills. I opened the diary with trembling hands. And there it was. Page 42, paragraph 17. She wrote about a man. "He watches me from the school window, always in the same car. I haven't told anyone because he said that if I did, someone I love would disappear." My heart nearly stopped. I kept reading, and every word felt like a blade. "Grandpa, if someone ever reads this, look for me where the flowers die in winter." I knew exactly where that was. An old flower field near the lake, covered in snow during the cold months. That's where I taught her to ride a bike. In that moment, I knew. She left clues. She planned every detail. And now, it was my turn to go all the way. The next morning, I put on my warmest coat and headed to the old field. Winter was just beginning, and the wind cut like a blade. I walked slowly to the center of that place where, years ago, I had taught Laura how to ride a bike. She laughed so hard that day, hair flying in the wind. But now, only silence. No flowers. Just frozen earth and dry branches. I stood there, waiting for a sign. That's when I saw it. A red ribbon tied to the end of a twisted tree. The same kind of ribbon she used to wear in her hair when she was little. My heart skipped a beat. Beneath the ribbon, a rock was slightly out of place. I dug with my bare hands, trembling, until I found a small metal box. Inside was another letter. "If you made it here, Grandpa, it means you still believe in me. I don't know how much time has passed since I was taken, but I know you'd never give up. That's why I left this trail." I kept reading, tears blurring my eyes. She wrote about the same man from the diary, how he had been watching her for months. No one believed her. Not her parents, not the school. Only me. He said I was special, that I was chosen for something. I thought he was crazy. But one day, he drugged me. Since then, my life has been a prison. But I never forgot you. Never. I still hope to see you again. On the back of the letter there was a strange symbol, a triangle with a drop in the center, and one sentence. They use this. If you see this symbol, you're close. My hands were shaking. I knew then, this was much bigger than I'd ever imagined. Laura hadn't run away. She had been taken. And now, I knew it wasn't too late to save. I came home, holding that metal box like it carried Laura's soul. I sat at the kitchen table, spread everything out, and started connecting the dots. The symbol, that triangle with the drop. Where had I seen that before? For hours I dug through drawers, old newspapers, boxes I hadn't touched in years. Then it hit me. There was an old building at the edge of town, a former religious boarding school, now abandoned. People used to say they heard voices there at night. I always thought it was superstition, but on the rusted metal sign half covered in ivy, the symbol, the same one. I didn't wait for daylight. I grabbed my flashlight, my keys, and left. The front door was locked, but the side gate had a gap wide enough. I squeezed through. Every step I took inside that place made the floor groan like it was warning me, "Turn back, old man, this isn't for you." But I pressed on. The main hallway was lined with heavy wooden doors, some with faded inscriptions. At the very end was one door, white, unlike the others, and on it, carved in relief, the triangle with the drop. I approached, heart pounding like a war drum. The handle was cold. When I turned it, it clicked open. Inside was a room, small, damp, the walls covered in religious phrases and childish drawings. On the floor, a rag doll, and on one of the walls, a name written over and over like a cry for help. Laura. She had been there. My God, I whispered, my eyes burning. And just as I was about to step forward, I heard footsteps, slow, from the hallway, and then a low voice said, "You shouldn't be here." The sound of those footsteps froze me in place. It was as if each step brought with it the years we'd been apart. The man entered slowly, his posture straight and cold, the kind of cold that doesn't shout, it threatens in silence. He walked to the center of the room and looked around like a hunter sniffing out fear. I crouched behind a broken shelf, my heart pounding in my ears. He bent down, picked up the rag doll on the floor and stared at it for long, silent seconds. "You were here," he muttered, almost to himself. "So close to me." Then he turned toward the wall and ran his hand over the name Laura, written over and over. "You think you can hide forever? I made you, girl." That chilled me to the bone. I made you? What did he mean by that? And then, it happened. The door behind him creaked open. A slender figure stepped in, light on her feet, moving like a ghost through the night, hair tied back, pale skin, sharp eyes like a wild animal. It was her. It was Laura. For a moment, time stopped. He hadn't noticed her presence, but I had. And when our eyes met, I felt something I can't describe. It was her, yes, but she carried a weight in her gaze that had never been there before. She approached quietly, holding a metal rod in her hands. One, the same rod that once supported the shelf. She looked at me. In silence, she asked me to trust her. She raised her arm and struck. The blow landed with a sickening thud on the side of the man's head. He collapsed instantly, blood trailing down his face. Laura dropped the rod. She stood frozen, breathing heavily, until her legs gave out and she collapsed to the floor. I rushed to her, stumbling, and wrapped her in my arms. I wept. I wept like a man who'd had his soul ripped out and given back on the same night. "I knew it, my girl. I knew you were still in there." She trembled. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was relief. We left quickly, hearts racing, feet stumbling in the dark. Every shadow looked like a memory trying to follow us. Laura clung to my hand as if letting go might wake her from a dream. At the exit, a rusty iron cross stuck out of the ground, nearly swallowed by weeds. Laura paused. She looked at that cross and whispered, "This is where he told me I'd never see my family again. But you came, Grandpa. You came." I couldn't speak. My throat closed with a wave of emotion. I just pulled her into my arms again, the only shelter I could offer.
We called the police from a payphone, hands still shaking. Within an hour, squad cars surrounded the building. Officers, reporters, neighbors, all stunned. That old boarding school had hidden more than just cobwebs and dust. It was part of a dark network. Powerful people, silent deals, buried stories. Laura was hospitalized, malnourished, exhausted, but alive. Scars on her body were nothing compared to the ones inside. But my granddaughter, she was made of iron and fire. She spoke slowly, over months, in broken sentences and long silences. And every word carried something stronger than fear. Courage. Today, she helps other girls. She writes, speaks, listens. Her pain became a bridge for others still stuck in the dark. And me, I sit on my porch again, coffee in hand, soul lighter than it's been in years. Sometimes she calls me her hero in front of others, but the truth is, she saved me. Because in the end, we don't need to be strong all the time. We just need to not give up on the ones we love. And if one day you lose someone, listen to what I'm about to say. If there is love, there is a way back, even if that road goes through silence, grief, or a forgotten letter in the mailbox. But it always, always finds its way home. And if this story touched your heart, I ask you, please subscribe to the channel and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below. Have you ever lived a reunion that changed your life? I'll be reading every word with an open heart. Thank you for listening one more time. Grandpa Eli.